The same stars that guided ancient navigators are shining above you right now. This shared sky holds a forgotten story of cosmic mastery. Our ancestors did not just gaze at the heavens, they decoded them with a sophistication that often matched our own. You are about to see 25 remarkable discoveries that prove ancient cultures understood the cosmos in ways we are only beginning to grasp. We will travel from the stone circles of England to the temples of Peru, uncovering artifacts and alignments that whisper of lost astronomical knowledge. This journey will permanently reshape your view of history and humanity's place in the universe. You will see how a 2,000-year-old device predicted planetary movements and how a civilization tracked Venus with pinpoint accuracy. How did cultures separated by oceans build precise solar calendars, and what unified purpose drove them to map the stars with such devotion? What does our own future hold if we finally listen to the wisdom of the past divers brought up a crusted, corroded lump from an ancient shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera? It looked like a piece of rock, nothing more, yet locked inside that formless mass was a secret that would shatter our timeline of technological progress. After years of careful study, researchers realized they were looking at the remains of an extraordinarily complex clockwork device, an intricate assembly of bronze gears precisely fitted together. We now call it the Antikythera Mechanism, created over 2,000 years ago, around 100 years before the Common Era. This was not a simple calendar. It was a portable, hand-cranked machine that could predict the future motion of the heavens. By turning a handle, an operator could see the changing positions of the planets, the phases of the moon, and even the precise timing of upcoming solar and lunar eclipses. It was, in essence, the world's first known analog computer. This single artifact tells us that the ancient Greeks had built a working mechanical model of the solar system. Their understanding of cosmic cycles was so advanced that they could translate celestial mathematics into interlocking gears of bronze. They blended precise astronomical observation with breathtaking engineering, a synthesis of knowledge that would not be seen again for more than a millennium. The Antikythera Mechanism is a powerful, tangible whisper from the past, a direct challenge to the idea that ancient science was purely theoretical. Here was a civilization that did not just watch the stars, they built machines to simulate them. While the Greeks were crafting bronze gears, a very different kind of celestial map was being forged in the heart of Europe. In the forested hills of modern-day Germany, a discovery was made that would rewrite our understanding of the Bronze Age. The Nebra Sky Disc was found by treasure hunters, a stunning artifact of bronze inlaid with gold. Dated to around 1,600 years before the Common Era, it is the oldest known portable map of the sky ever discovered. This was not a complex machine of moving parts, but a brilliant and beautiful simplification of the cosmos. Its surface is decorated with gold leaf symbols, a circle for the sun, another for the moon, and a scattering of stars that includes a distinct cluster representing the Pleiades. Along the disk's edge are golden arcs, one now lost, that scholars believe mark the sun's extreme positions between summer and winter solstices. This was not mere decoration. The Nebra Sky Disc was a functional astronomical instrument, a sophisticated calculator held in one's hands. It could be used to harmonize the lunar calendar with the solar year, a crucial piece of knowledge for knowing when to plant crops or when to hold seasonal ceremonies. Imagine a community using this shimmering bronze disc to predict the turning of the seasons, to confirm that the sun had reached its lowest point in the sky and that the days would slowly begin to grow long again. This single object shatters the old image of prehistoric Europe as a land of primitive farmers. Here was a society with astronomers who systematically observed the heavens, recorded their patterns in a durable medium, and created a practical tool from that knowledge. The disc reveals a deep, working understanding of cosmic cycles that guided both their daily lives and their spiritual beliefs. It stands as a powerful testament to a universal human drive to not only look up at the stars but to bring a piece of that order down to Earth. Yet this drive to map the cosmos onto the Earth found its most monumental expression far to the west, on the windswept Salisbury Plain in England. A ring of towering stones has stood for millennia. Stonehenge is far more than a circle of rocks. It is a sophisticated astronomical instrument built of stone. Its creators, over 4,000 years ago, engineered its massive pillars and lintels to capture the light of the sun and moon at pivotal moments of the year. The famous heel stone acts as a perfect gun sight for the rising sun on the summer solstice, the longest day, but the alignments go far deeper. Specific stones also frame the extreme rising and setting points of the moon during its complex 18.6-year cycle, events known as lunar standstills. Achieving this was not a matter of chance. It required generations of patient, meticulous sky watching, an oral tradition of knowledge passed down, and a staggering communal effort to haul and position stones weighing many tons. This was a civilization that literally moved mountains to pin the cycles of the cosmos into the ground. Stonehenge likely served as a colossal, immutable calendar. By marking the solstices and lunar extremes, it told its people when seasons were turning, when to plant and when to harvest, and when to gather for ceremonies that connected their community to the rhythm of the universe. The very landscape became a clock, and the stones were its hands. It stands as a silent, powerful statement that its builders were not passive inhabitants of their world, but active observers who understood the celestial order and built a permanent testament to that knowledge. Far across the ocean, another civilization was gazing at the same bright star, but they saw a divine war god. The Maya of Mesoamerica did not build in stone on the scale of Stonehenge. Instead, they recorded their celestial mastery in books. One of these precious surviving texts, the Dresden Codex, contains a set of astronomical tables so precise they could predict the dance of the planet Venus for centuries into the future. The Maya tracked the planet's complete 584-day synodic cycle, the time it takes to return to the same position relative to the sun. They meticulously noted its appearances as the radiant morning star and its subsequent rebirth as the evening star. This was not just observation, it was high-level mathematical astronomy. They understood that 5 cycles of Venus very nearly equaled 8 of their own solar years, a harmony of cycles they could use to create a grand, unified calendar. This Venus calendar was then woven into the fabric of their sacred rituals and their practical agricultural life, dictating the timing of ceremonies and the planting of crops. To the Maya, Venus was not a passive light in the sky. It was a powerful deity whose movements could influence the fate of kings and the success of harvests. Their ability to forecast its path with such accuracy, correcting their tables over vast stretches of time, reveals a culture that viewed the cosmos as a complex, predictable, and living system. They achieved this not with gears of bronze, but with the relentless power of observation and mathematics, proving that a deep understanding of the universe can be encoded just as powerfully on pages of bark paper as it can in stone or metal. This same impulse to carve cosmic order into the landscape reaches its ultimate expression in the desert sands of Egypt. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not merely a tomb, it is a perfect earthly echo of the heavens. Its four sides are aligned to the four cardinal directions with an accuracy that defies simple explanation, with an error of less than 1/15th of a single degree. To achieve such precision, the ancient Egyptian builders must have been master astronomers as well as engineers. Historians suggest they used pairs of stars like Kochab and Mizar circling the northern sky as fixed celestial markers to establish true north. They turned the entire sky into a vast surveying tool. This celestial connection runs even deeper, right into the pyramid's heart. Narrow shafts leading from the central chambers point directly toward significant stars. One shaft aims for the star Sirius, associated with the goddess Isis, while another targets the then pole star, linking the pharaoh's eternal journey to the very axis of the sky. The pyramid was a machine for the afterlife, a permanent bridge between the earthly and the divine realms. It was designed to launch the soul of the king directly into the cosmic circuit of the imperishable stars. This architectural marvel demonstrates a profound truth. For the Egyptians, astronomy and architecture were one and the same. They did not just observe the cosmos, they built a perfect, mountainous reflection of it, embedding celestial law into stone to last for all eternity. While the Egyptians built in stone, another culture was mapping the cosmos in a far more fluid and enduring medium, the human voice itself. Across Australia, Aboriginal peoples have maintained a living astronomical tradition for more than 60,000 years, woven into the very fabric of their culture through songlines. These are not merely songs, but intricate oral maps of the entire continent. Each songline is a sequence of verses that describe landmarks, water sources, and, crucially, the stars above them. To walk a songline is to sing the country into existence, navigating vast distances by reciting the creation stories that formed the land and the heavens. This knowledge system binds astronomy, geography, and spirituality into one inseparable whole. Consider the emu in the sky, a constellation not of stars, but of the dark dust clouds within our own Milky Way galaxy. When this celestial emu appears in the night sky in a specific orientation, its body stretched across the darkness, it signals the time when real-world emus are laying their eggs, a crucial seasonal event for hunting and gathering. The story in the stars directly informs life on the ground. This is a science of deep connection, where the cosmos is not a distant clockwork to be observed, but a participatory story that guides daily life, moral laws, and ceremonial practice. The songlines represent perhaps the most resilient form of cosmic knowledge ever developed, passed flawlessly from one generation to the next without a single written word. It is a stunning reminder that understanding the universe is not just about calculation and observation, but about finding our place within a living, storied cosmos. Long before the Inca built their empire, another culture in Peru was marking the sun's path with breathtaking precision. On a barren coastal hillside stands Chancillo, a line of 13 stone towers stretching along a ridge like the spine of a colossal stone beast. Built in the 4th century before the Common Era, this is the oldest known solar observatory in the Americas. From two distinct observing points, one to the east and one to the west, the towers create a perfect artificial horizon. As the sun travels north and south throughout the year, it rises and sets in a different gap between these towers. On the June solstice, it appears at one end of the line, and on the December solstice, it appears at the other. Every single day of the solar year has its own unique sunrise and sunset position framed by this stone calendar. This was not a passive monument, it was a functional, precise instrument for dividing the year. The entire society could have used it to know exactly when to plant, when to harvest, and when to hold the ceremonies that bound the community together. Chancillo proves that a sophisticated understanding of solar cycles existed in South America over 2,000 years ago. It stands as a silent, powerful testament to a universal human quest to measure time itself by the unwavering motion of our closest star. Centuries before the Maya tracked Venus, another civilization was etching its movements into damp clay. The Venus tablet of Amasajuka is a small, unassuming cuneiform tablet, but it contains one of the most important records in the history of science. Created during the reign of the Babylonian king Amasajuka around 1,600 years before the Common Era, this artifact is part of a vast series of astronomical texts known as Enuma Anu Enlil. It documents 21 years of meticulous observations of the planet Venus, noting its first and last appearances as a morning star, its periods of disappearance, and its re-emergence as an evening star. This was not a simple log, it was the raw data for a revolution. Babylonian astronomer priests analyzed these long-term records and detected repeating patterns. They realized that the complex dance of Venus was not random but predictable. This allowed them to create the earliest known mathematical models for forecasting planetary motion, laying the very foundation for the science of astronomy. Their methods, based on precise arithmetic and pattern recognition, would be studied and refined for over a millennium, influencing Greek thinkers and later Islamic scholars who preserved and expanded this knowledge. This humble clay tablet is a direct bridge to the moment humanity first began to transform celestial observation into a predictive mathematical science. It proves that the relentless, patient recording of the sky, night after night, year after year, is what allowed ancient minds to see the hidden order within the cosmos. Deep within a grassy mound in the Boyne Valley of Ireland, a 5,000-year-old secret waits for the dawn. Newgrange is a massive passage tomb, older than both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its most stunning feature is not its size, but a small, narrow opening carefully positioned above its main entrance, a feature known as the roof box. For most of the year, the inner chamber remains in profound darkness, a silent, sacred space. But for a few precious minutes around the winter solstice, something miraculous occurs. As the sun crests the horizon on the shortest day of the year, a narrow beam of light pierces through this roof box. It cuts through the long entrance passage and slowly, dramatically, illuminates the central chamber, flooding the ancient carvings and the resting place within with golden light. This event lasts for roughly 17 minutes before the chamber returns to shadow. This was no accident of architecture. It was a breathtakingly precise feat of engineering and astronomy, achieved by a Neolithic culture that understood the solar cycle with incredible accuracy. They oriented the entire massive structure to capture that single, fleeting shaft of light at the year's pivotal turning point. In the deepest dark of winter, this event symbolized the sun's rebirth and the promise of returning life. It connected the realm of the ancestors resting within the mound directly to the cosmic power of the sun. This alignment was far more than a calendar marker. It was a profound spiritual ceremony built in stone, a permanent testament to a culture that saw the cosmos as a living, breathing force intimately woven into the cycle of life, death, and renewal. Within the cool, silent darkness of an Egyptian temple, the entire night sky was brought to life in stone. The ceiling of the Hathor temple at Dendera holds one of the most beautiful and complete ancient star maps ever found, the Dendera Zodiac. This intricate circular bas-relief is not a random scattering of stars, but a detailed chart of the constellations, meticulously carved during the Greco-Roman period. It shows the familiar signs of the zodiac we recognize today, alongside the 5 planets known to ancient astronomers and figures from Egyptian mythology, like the goddess Nut arching across the heavens. This masterpiece is a powerful record of cultural fusion, where Egyptian celestial knowledge met and merged with Babylonian and Greek traditions. The priests of Dendera were not just creating art, they were encoding a sophisticated synthesis of astronomical understanding onto the very roof of their sacred space. The Zodiac served a dual purpose. It was a profound religious icon that depicted the gods and goddesses who ruled the cosmos, and simultaneously, it was a functional astronomical guide. It connected the rituals performed below directly to the orderly, divine machinery of the universe above. This was the ultimate expression of a temple as a cosmic machine, a building designed not just for worship, but to be a perfect mirror of the heavens, a place where humanity could stand directly beneath a carved sky and feel connected to the eternal dance of the planets and stars. High on a plateau overlooking the Inca capital, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman does not merely guard the city, it forms the head of a giant stone Puma. The ancient city of Cusco was not built as a random collection of streets and plazas. It was deliberately planned as a colossal, sacred animal laid across the landscape. From the fortress head, the city's body stretches out, defined by the flow of two rivers that formed its outline, with the central plaza serving as the creature's heart. This was no simple artistic whim, it was a profound cosmogram, a map of the Inca universe made physical. The Puma, a symbol of power and the earth, was just the beginning. This urban form was also precisely aligned with the heavens. Key avenues and important structures were oriented to frame the rising and setting of the sun on the solstices, and to mark the passage of significant stars and constellations revered in Inca mythology. The entire city functioned as a massive, static astronomical instrument, its stone pathways and buildings permanently recording celestial relationships. Walking through Cusco was to traverse a living model of the cosmos, where every turn could connect you to a solar alignment or a stellar event. This integration reveals a world view where the earthly and celestial realms were perfect, mirrored reflections of one another. The city was the axis mundi, the center point where the world of humans and the domain of the gods intersected. To live there was to be constantly reminded of one's place within a vast, orderly, and sacred system. The Inca did not just build a city, they built a three-dimensional prayer, a testament to their belief that human society must be constructed in harmony with the unshakable laws of the cosmos. While the Inca were building cities as cosmic maps, another tradition of celestial observation was being etched onto the most fragile of mediums. In the cradle of Chinese civilization, royal diviners of the Shang dynasty pressed hot metal to the shoulder bones of oxen and the undershells of turtles. The cracks that appeared were believed to carry messages from the spirit world, but the inscriptions carved beside them hold a different kind of prophecy. These oracle bones, dating back over 3,000 years to the second millennium before the Common Era, contain some of humanity's oldest written records of the sky. The inscriptions are direct and startlingly specific. One might state the moon was eclipsed or note the appearance of a strange new star. They log the predictable movements of planets like Jupiter and the terrifying, unpredictable darkening of the sun. For the Shang kings, these events were not mere natural phenomena. They were direct communications from heaven, potent omens that could foretell the success of a harvest, the outcome of a battle, or the health of the ruler. This was astronomy in the service of the state, a sacred duty. The meticulous recording of these events transformed celestial observation into a systematic science. A court astronomer who failed to predict an eclipse could face severe consequences, a powerful incentive for absolute accuracy. This early bureaucracy of the sky laid the essential groundwork for what was to come. For centuries, Chinese astronomers would maintain the most continuous and precise celestial records in the world, all because their ancestors believed the cracks in a tortoise shell and the motions of the planets were two parts of the same divine language. The same impulse to mark cosmic order on the landscape stretches across the channel to the coast of Brittany. Here, the Karnak alignments present a mystery on a scale that is almost incomprehensible. More than 3,000 individual standing stones are arranged in long, precise rows, marching across the French countryside like a petrified army. Erected during the Neolithic era, these are not the circles of Stonehenge, but vast linear formations, a monumental project that would have demanded a staggering communal effort spanning generations. While their full purpose remains a subject of debate, a compelling theory suggests these stones were far more than a ritual space. They were a sophisticated lunar observatory. The orderly rows may have functioned as a colossal sighting device. By observing the moon's rising and setting points against the fixed lines of stones, Neolithic astronomers could have tracked its most subtle and long-term dance, the complex 18.6-year cycle of the lunar standstills. This cycle marks the moon's extreme northerly and southerly limits in the sky, a slow, majestic wobble that is barely perceptible year to year. To recognize this pattern required not just patience, but a tradition of knowledge passed down with meticulous care. This was not casual sky watching, it was a science of deep time. Understanding this lunar rhythm would have granted its people profound predictive power. It could have informed them about the tides along the nearby coast, potentially guiding fishing and shellfish gathering. It may have been woven into an agricultural calendar far more nuanced than a simple solar year, and it would have certainly held a central place in the community's ceremonial life, marking eras, not just seasons. The sheer number of stones at Karnak speaks to the supreme importance of this celestial knowledge, a silent forest of granite erected to honor the silent, predictable journey of the moon. Out in the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, where the horizon is an unbroken circle of sea and sky, the Polynesian voyagers performed what seemed like impossible feats of navigation. Without a compass, a map, or a sextant, they settled islands scattered across millions of square miles of open water. Their secret was a celestial map, not carved in stone or written on paper, but memorized in the minds of master navigators. They saw the night sky not as a random scattering of lights, but as a fixed, rotating dome. They had memorized the precise rising and setting points of nearly 250 stars, creating a mental star compass that divided the horizon into directional segments. A voyage from Tahiti to Hawaii, for instance, meant sailing toward the point where the star Arcturus rose. When that star was no longer visible, the navigator would switch to another guiding star, holding a steady course across the trackless deep. This was a living, breathing science of the stars, passed down through chance and apprenticeships from one generation to the next. But their celestial knowledge was only one part of an intricate system. They read the ocean itself like a text, interpreting the subtle patterns of swells rebounding from distant islands, watching the flight paths of certain seabirds that always return to land at dusk, and noting changes in cloud formations and watercolor. Their canoe was a moving observatory, and the entire natural world was their instrument. This profound, holistic understanding of the cosmos allowed them to conquer the greatest wilderness on Earth, not by fighting nature, but by learning to listen to its every whisper. It stands as one of humanity's most breathtaking achievements, a testament to what is possible when we see ourselves not as separate from the universe, but as navigators within its grand and orderly design. High on a lonely butte in Choco Canyon, a sliver of rock and a carved spiral conspire with the sun to mark the passage of the year. Upon the shaded vertical face of Fajoda Butte, the ancestral Pueblones carefully pecked a large spiral petroglyph into the stone. Then, with a stunning understanding of their environment, they positioned 3 massive stone slabs directly in front of it. These slabs were not placed at random. They act as a precise filter for sunlight, As the sun moves across the sky each day, its beams slip through the narrow cracks between these slabs, casting distinct, sharp daggers of light onto the spiral behind them. Throughout the year, the behavior of this light dagger transforms. On the summer solstice, a single, perfect blade of light pierces directly through the very center of the spiral. At the winter solstice, two distinct daggers of light appear, one on either side, perfectly framing the petroglyph, and on the spring and autumn equinox, a smaller, central dagger of light bisects a smaller spiral carved to the right of the main one. This was not a passive symbol, it was a dynamic, living calendar etched into the cliff. The entire community below could witness the sun itself announcing the turning of the seasons, a celestial event made tangible and predictable. This solar marker, created around 1,000 years ago, represents a profound integration of art, architecture, and astronomy. The ancestral Puebloans did not need to build a towering structure. They instead used the natural landscape itself as their instrument, carefully modifying it to capture and display the sun's unwavering rhythm. It is a masterpiece of minimalist engineering, where a simple alignment of rock and light reveals a deep, sophisticated communion with the cosmos. The geometry of the universe was once laid out in bricks of clay and fire. In the ancient Vedic tradition of India, the construction of a simple fire altar was an act of cosmic engineering. These were not mere piles of brick, but intricate, large-scale geometric shapes, their assembly governed by a sacred science preserved in texts known as the Sulba Sutras. The rules were exacting. The altars had to be built in specific forms, often as falcons or tortoises, with their total area meticulously calculated to symbolically represent the earth and the sky. To achieve these precise areas, the Vedic priests had to become masters of mathematics. They understood and applied the Pythagorean theorem for creating perfect right angles centuries before Pythagoras himself was born, calling it the principle of the diagonal. Their work required a deep understanding of irrational numbers and complex geometric transformations, like converting a square into a circle of equal area. This was not abstract puzzle solving. Every calculation was in service to the altar's ultimate purpose, to become a perfect microcosm, a miniature model of the ordered universe. The very act of construction was synchronized with astronomical cycles, tying the ritual to the sun's annual journey. For the Vedic people, there was no separation between the spiritual and the scientific. The orderly movement of the heavens, the mathematical truths of geometry, and the power of ritual were all threads of the same divine fabric. To build the altar correctly was to harmonize human activity with the fundamental principles of cosmic law, creating a bridge between the earthly and the celestial through the language of mathematics and the substance of flame and earth. Centuries before the stones of Stonehenge were raised, a different kind of celestial clock was taking shape in the heart of Europe. In a field in what is now Germany, a Neolithic community began a monumental project, digging a circular ditch and raising concentric rings of wooden palisades. This is the Gosick Circle, a solar observatory constructed nearly 7,000 years ago, making it the oldest known structure of its kind on the continent. Its design was both simple and brilliant. 3 sets of gates pierced the wooden walls at precise points. On the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice, if you stood at the circle's exact center, you would witness the sun rise through one southeastern gate and hours later set directly through the opposite southwestern gate. The same precise alignment occurred for the summer solstice, marking the sun's extreme northern journey. This was not a fort or a village. It was a colossal, open-air instrument dedicated to measuring the sun itself. The entire enclosure functioned as a giant sighting device, its gates acting as fixed gun sights to capture the sun's most pivotal moments. For a society of early farmers, this knowledge was everything. The Gosic Circle was a communal calendar, its alignments announcing the sun's rebirth at the winter solstice and the peak of its power at the summer solstice. These were the signals for planting, for harvest, and for the ceremonies that bound the community to the rhythms of the earth and sky. This structure proves that the desire to understand and mark the cosmic order was alive in Central Europe during the Stone Age. It reveals a people who were not merely surviving, but who were actively, systematically studying the heavens, and who possessed the collective will to build a permanent, sacred space to honor that relationship. Perched high on a flattened mountain ridge, the Zapotec city of Monte Albon commands a panoramic view of the surrounding valleys and the dome of the sky. This was not just a strategic stronghold, it was a city engineered for celestial observation. Among its many structures, one building stands out for its bizarre and purposeful design. Known today as Building J, its unique arrowhead shape cuts into the plaza at a sharp angle, completely different from the rectilinear temples around it. This was no ordinary platform. Its walls are pierced by narrow, dark tunnels that run deep within its core. Scholars believe this entire structure functioned as a specialized astronomical observatory. The main axis of the building, along with the precise alignment of its tunnels, points directly toward the spot on the horizon where the brilliant star Capella would have risen around 300 years before the Common Era. For the Zapotec, the heliacal rising of Capella, its first appearance in the dawn sky after a period of invisibility, likely signaled a pivotal moment in their ritual calendar, perhaps marking the beginning of the rainy season or an important ceremonial period. By walking into the heart of Building J and looking out through those stone tubes, a priest astronomer would see the star appear exactly on cue, framed perfectly by the architecture. This transformed the entire building into a colossal stone gun sight, a permanent instrument for locking the city's ceremonial life to the rhythm of the stars. The very layout of Monte Albon, with its grand plaza and surrounding pyramids, mirrors this cosmic order, reflecting a worldview where human time and celestial time were meant to move in perfect, synchronized harmony. On a remote Scottish isle, the Callanish stones rise from the peat like a petrified forest, their long avenues forming a colossal cross against the sky. This arrangement is a masterpiece of lunar architecture. While solar alignments are common in ancient sites, Callanish is a precise and sophisticated moon tracker. Its stone avenues point toward the distant southern hills, framing a celestial performance that unfolds only once every 18.6 years. This is the major lunar standstill, the climax of the moon's long, slow wobble in its orbit. During this event, the full moon does not simply rise, it seems to glide along the horizon, skimming the hills and appearing to roll down the central avenue of stones before dipping below the world. For the Neolithic community that built this site, this was far more than a beautiful sight. It was a pivotal moment in time. This extreme lunar event likely governed a ceremonial calendar that operated on a scale far longer than a single human lifetime. It would have marked an era, not just a season, signaling a time for gatherings, for renewing social bonds, and for rituals connected to the myths of a moon deity. The precise engineering required to capture this subtle, long-term cycle reveals a society of astronomer priests who thought in generations, not years. Their deep understanding of the moon's complex dance proves that for them, the silvery, shifting light of the moon held a power and a mystery that rivaled the steady blaze of the sun. The sands of the Sahara hold the bones of a lake that vanished millennia ago, and beside its ancient shore rests a circle of stones that predates the pyramids by thousands of years. At Nabta Playa in southern Egypt, a prehistoric community of nomadic herders arranged massive stones with deliberate intent. This was not a random collection of boulders, but a sophisticated astronomical observatory built around 7,000 years ago. Its alignments are precise and profound. Key stones point directly to the rising sun on the summer solstice, while others are set to track the three bright stars of Orion's belt as they crested the horizon. For these early people, these celestial events were not abstract markers. They were a matter of survival. The rising of Orion and the summer sun coincided with the life-giving monsoon rains that would temporarily fill the lake basin, creating pastures for their cattle. This stone circle was their calendar, their early warning system written in granite. By reading the stars, they could anticipate the coming of the water, the single most crucial event in their annual cycle. This discovery shatters the traditional narrative of civilization's linear progress. It suggests that the magnificent astronomical knowledge of the pharaohs did not spring forth fully formed, but was nurtured over countless generations by desert nomads. The roots of Egyptian cosmic science lie not in the grandeur of temples, but in the practical, urgent need of a people who followed the rains and learned to read their schedule in the unwavering stars. While Europe was perfecting the telescope, a Maharaja in India chose to perfect the naked eye. In the early 18th century, Jai Singh II constructed a series of monumental observatories, the most famous of which stands in Delhi, known as Jantar Mantar. These are not collections of delicate brass instruments, but colossal structures of stone and marble, vast geometric forms that are both architecture and astronomy frozen in a single moment. The Samrat Yantra, or Supreme Instrument, is the world's largest stone sundial, a giant triangular gnomon soaring nearly 90 feet high, its shadow sweeping across a pair of huge curved quadrants. This immense scale was not for grandeur but for precision. Each minute of time corresponds to a visible movement of the shadow, allowing astronomers to tell the time of day with an accuracy of just 2 seconds. Other structures within the complex were designed as massive open-air instruments to track the precise paths of stars and planets across the sky and to predict the complex timing of eclipses. Jai Singh II was a scholar king who built these observatories to correct and refine the existing astronomical tables of the era. He blended the deep Vedic astronomical traditions of his own culture with the knowledge flowing from Islamic and European sources, creating a unique synthesis of global science. The Jantar Mantar observatories represent the breathtaking culmination of a millennia-long journey of celestial observation, proving that the human eye, when aided by brilliant engineering and monumental scale, could rival the early telescope in its pursuit of cosmic truth. Deep in the silent darkness of the Lascaux Cave, a masterpiece from the Paleolithic era holds a potential key to our oldest cosmic story. Among the stunning depictions of bulls and other great beasts, a curious detail appears near the shoulder of one magnificent aurochs, a cluster of 6 distinct dots. To the modern eye, it could be simple decoration, but some researchers see something far more profound, a deliberate representation of the Pleiades star cluster. If this interpretation is correct, it means that 17,000 years ago, while the last ice age still gripped Europe, our ancestors were not only painting the animals they hunted, but were also mapping the very stars above them onto the stone canvas of their sacred sanctuary. This single, ancient image suggests that the human impulse to find patterns in the night sky and weave them into our cultural fabric is a fundamental part of who we are. It connects the hunter gazing up from a frozen landscape to the Babylonian scribe and the Polynesian navigator, all united by the same familiar cluster of stars. This cave painting could be the earliest known evidence of celestial observation, a whisper from a time when mythology and astronomy were one and the same, born in the flickering firelight of a deep, underground chamber. Venus held a power over the Maya that went far beyond simple observation. In the ancient city of Uxmal, the entire seat of government was engineered to honor its celestial journey. The governor's palace, a building of breathtaking length and ornate stone mosaics, was not placed by chance upon the landscape. Its central doorway and the building's main axis are aligned with an astonishing precision, targeting the southernmost point on the horizon where Venus would appear as the evening star during its 8-year cycle. To achieve this, Maya architects and astronomer priests had to project a complex celestial pattern onto the Earth itself, calculating an alignment that would only be visibly perfect once every 8 years. This was not merely decorative, it was a profound statement of divine right. The ruler who resided there was not just a political leader, his authority was shown to be in direct harmony with the cosmos. He was the earthly representative of the feathered serpent god Kukulkan, whose celestial form was the planet Venus. Every time the planet reached that extreme point in the sky, it was as if the palace was being activated, its connection to the war god reaffirmed for all to see. This fusion of astronomy, architecture, and political power reveals a society where the universe was not a separate realm, but the ultimate source of order and legitimacy. The very stones of Uxmal were a permanent argument for the king's right to rule, an argument written in the silent, predictable language of the stars. On the sun-baked island of Malta, a temple built from colossal limestone blocks holds a secret of light and shadow. The Mnajdra temple complex, raised over 5,000 years ago, is a masterpiece of solar engineering. Its creators arranged 3 distinct temple units with such precision that the sun itself performs a ritual within their walls each equinox and solstice. On the morning of the spring and autumn equinox, the sun's rays spear through the main doorway of the lower temple, casting a perfect rectangle of light onto a central stone slab deep inside the sanctuary. It is as if the building itself is taking a measurement, confirming the moment of perfect balance between day and night. The effect is even more dramatic during the solstices. At the summer solstice, a brilliant blade of light illuminates the outer edge of a large stone to the left of the central altar. 6 months later, at the winter solstice, the sunbeam shifts to strike the corresponding stone on the opposite side of the chamber. This was not a happy accident of construction. The entire temple was meticulously oriented, and its doorways and chambers shaped to act as a colossal solar calendar. For the community that built it, this knowledge was essential for survival. The changing light patterns would have announced the optimal times for planting and harvesting, for breeding livestock, and for holding the ceremonies that ensured the community's continuity and harmony with the natural world. These people moved stones weighing many tons to capture the sun's path, proving their deep, working understanding of the solar cycle. This temple was their clock, their calendar, and their cathedral, all fused into one enduring structure of stone. The final discovery takes us to the heart of ancient China, where a simple earthen platform marks the dawn of systematic state astronomy. At the Taosi archaeological site, a semicircular rammed earth structure stands as the oldest astronomical observatory yet found in East Asia. Constructed by the Longshan culture around 2,100 years before the Common Era, its design is one of elegant simplicity. Gaps were deliberately left in its walls, creating precise sighting channels aimed at the distant horizon. On the morning of the winter solstice, the rising sun would have appeared perfectly framed in one gap. At the summer solstice, it shone through another, and on the equinoxes, it occupied a central position, marking the days of balanced light and dark. This was not a temple for the elite, but a functional, public instrument. It provided an unwavering, communal reference point for the entire solar year. The implications of this observatory are profound. It signifies the moment when celestial observation in China transitioned from a localized practice to an institutionalized state science. The data gathered here was essential for creating a precise, authoritative calendar. This calendar, in turn, became the backbone of state administration, dictating the optimal times for planting and harvesting, for collecting taxes, and for organizing large-scale public works. The Taosi Observatory reveals a society that understood a fundamental truth, that the orderly governance of human affairs must be built upon the unshakable order of the cosmos. It is a powerful testament to the universal human quest to measure time, to plan for the future, and to build civilizations in harmony with the rhythms of the heavens. These scattered fragments of cosmic knowledge from every corner of the world begin to form a single, breathtaking picture. Regardless of the tools they used, whether stone, clay, or memory, ancient cultures were driven by the same fundamental need to find meaning in the celestial dance. This was far more than a practical exercise in creating calendars for planting crops. The immense labor required to erect Stonehenge or the Cusco Circle, the generations of meticulous observation recorded on Babylonian tablets, the intellectual feat of the Antikythera Mechanism, all point to a deeper, unifying purpose. For these societies, understanding the cosmos was inseparable from understanding their own place within it. Their spirituality, their systems of governance, their very identity were woven into the fabric of the stars. The predictable return of the sun after the solstice was a promise of renewal, the cyclical journey of Venus a narrative of a god's power, and the steady turning of the night sky a map of moral and physical law. This was a science of connection where the movement of a planet could dictate the timing of a king's ceremony, and the alignment of a temple could legitimize an entire social order. What emerges is a challenge to our modern idea of a straight line of scientific progress. We do not see a single thread of knowledge slowly unspooling through time. Instead, we witness a brilliant tapestry of parallel discoveries, a global phenomenon of human intellect rising independently to meet the same cosmic mystery. Each culture, from the Polynesian navigators to the Egyptian pyramid builders, found its own unique language to decode the heavens, yet they all arrived at the same profound conclusion, that human life is part of a vast, beautiful, and orderly system. This shared legacy suggests that the drive to look up and seek our coordinates in the universe is one of the most essential and enduring qualities of what it means to be human. This shared legacy of cosmic curiosity connects us across vast stretches of time and space. Our journey through these 25 remarkable discoveries paints a truly vivid picture of ancient ingenuity. It reveals that cultures scattered across the globe were not passive observers of the night sky, but active and brilliant interpreters of the cosmos. They built monumental structures from stone, created intricate artifacts of metal and clay, and developed complex systems of knowledge that captured the rhythms of the sun, the moon, and the planets with a startling and often beautiful accuracy. From the Polynesian navigator steering by the stars to the Babylonian scribe predicting Venus, from the Egyptian priest aligning a pyramid to the Aboriginal elder walking a songline, we see the same fundamental impulse. This shared celestial heritage reminds us that the deep, abiding drive to understand our place in the vast universe is a fundamental thread in the grand tapestry of the human story. As we look up at the very same stars today, we are connected to those ancient astronomers by an unbroken thread of wonder and persistent curiosity. Their legacy is not locked away in museums, but is written in the night sky above us, waiting to be read. Let this exploration inspire you to step outside and gaze at the heavens with new eyes, to see not just points of light, but a living story of human discovery. If you have found these insights into our shared past as fascinating as we have, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And for more journeys into the profound mysteries of history, be sure to subscribe.